Okay, so now we are going to create auth controller and auth service. So in auth controller we are going to handle endpoints like login, register and profile. Create, we will be able to see profile, and we'll be able to update profile. So these things we are going to do from auth. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna create a file here with the name auth.controller.ts, and I'll create one more file for auth.service.ts. Alright, in auth controller I'm going to write one class auth controller, and to make this a controller I need to annotate it with controller annotation. I'll have to import, and once this is defined I need to mention it in controllers properties of module that these controller exist in our system. So I'm going to paste it and import auth controllers. Similarly I will do this for service as well. Export class auth service, and this what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna import annotate it with injectable, not service, injectable. And once this is injectable, if we are not defining any scope, NestJS understands that it needs to create a singleton instance. So all the injectables we put it in the provider, so we are going to put it in the provider. Alright, now that we have defined controller and providers. Okay, so what we are going to do next is we are going to define some methods in controller. So might be thinking like why we started on user and then we started auth. So these two will go like side by side, since as the responsibility of auth is to create user, so I'll have to finish the auth first, and then I will get back here in the user details again. I will finish up the things, and there are so many things will we keep modifying as the new modules will create, since these are independent. Like some properties, let's say some users will have multiple projects, so I will have to define the entity, I will have to define these methods as well. So don't get confused from all these things, just keep understanding and following what I'm doing right now. Okay, so as I do, like first I define constructor, then after defining the constructor, what I can do, I can create some methods. Let's say async register. Okay, and then I can create one method for login, and then I can create one method for async profile, and then I can create one method for async update profile. Okay, if I want to, I can change this to get profile. Alright, now generally like in register we'll be passing create user DTO. So what we are going to do, we are going to annotate it with get, and the base path of this auth controller will be auth. And here in register I can just append, like we can add one register as a specific handler endpoint, so it will be auth/register, and whatever the body and things will be passing, we can get it in the parameter. So what I want here is I want to define body, and from body what I will get is I'll get register user DTO. Okay, let's keep it in small, and then what I can do, I can just use register user DTO. Okay, So what I was thinking, should we create separate DTO for the register? Probably not. We can just use the same DTO, and we can pass few of the properties during registration if we need. Otherwise we can take all the fields. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just use import the same create user DTO. Okay, to be consistent, we'll be using importing things. Okay, before we proceed, what I want is, like right now you see these are imported from the path src/user, and this doesn't look good to me. So in TypeScript we can modify the type, what was it, tsconfig, and you can provide the alias for the folder, right? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add one properties here, and I'm just going to write paths, and I can write let's say user, and I will be writing src for all the users. So for all the steps inside the users, we can use this prefix for everything inside user, and this. So for all this path, if I go back in auth, okay, if I go back in auth controller, so it starts from the user, src user, and anything, if it matches this pattern. So for this part we are using star, right? So it matches this pattern. So what we can do in that case, we can remove this and we can use @it user. So if we configure this way, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna quickly do this for all the modules. Okay, next we have role. Here in case of role we can add it role. We have project, so we can do project. We have task, so we can do task here. We have auth, so we can make it auth, and then we have a common module, so we can have a common here. Okay, so do we have anything else? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Okay, there's one more called database, although I don't think we'll need it, but let's do it for this as well. Okay, so I'm gonna write database, and I'm gonna do database. Okay, so now if you notice, we are getting some error. So it is saying auth service.ts is not a module. So probably I have imported it at wrong place in auth module. Not sure what is happening. Let me just stop this. Okay, so in auth module, if I go in auth module, okay, we have defined auth service here, and we have defined it here. Let me run it again and see what was the error. No, there's no error. That's fine. I don't know why that was coming. Maybe we did some changes in the tsconfig, that's why it might be coming. Okay, now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna remove this, and when I will try to import it again, now it will use alias @rate user. Okay, now it looks good. So we'll continue writing things here. So next what we want to do, we want to return this dot auth service. So we haven't defined auth service, so let's do it quickly. private read only auth service. So this will be automatically injected at runtime, since we have marked it as injectable. So there's a instance available when this controller will be created. And what I'm gonna do, auth service, and I can import this in auth service. Now we can use auth service here. Let's do it. Auth service dot, we can write register, so, and we can pass register user DTO. To keep it consistent, we can use create user DTO variable, and we can pass it here. We don't have this method, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this and paste it here somewhere. I'll mark it as async. Okay, now I can add its type as well, create user DTO. So since the creation of user is part of user module, so I'm not going to write much logic here. So instead what we are going to do is we are going to call user module, like user service method from here. So for that, like, I will need to inject user service in this service. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna inject that here. There you can also build custom query as well, like you can use custom query builder, and you can do that, but we are going to see that later. For now, in this auth service, we'll be injecting user service, and then we'll try to call one of the method of create. Actually this will define one method we have already done actually, so we are going to modify it, but we'll call this method create user from auth service. Okay, so let's do it. So first we need to get the dependency instance of user service. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a variable private read only user service, and this will be user service, and I'm gonna mark it as, so we don't need to actually mark anything since this will be already available. But to access this user service, what we need to import users module in the auth service. So we are going to import users module, user module, not users, it is a user module, and now we can access the user service instance, and we can call this thing here, this dot user service dot register, not register, it's a create user. And we also need to pass this create user DTO. You might be thinking we are not handling any error, so we are going to do that in create user, and if needed we'll do it in auth service as well. So I'm also seeing some error here, nest cannot resolve dependency auth service, make sure that the argument okay, so okay, probably this is the error of this user service. But why this is happening, although we have imported user module, the reason behind that, just by importing a module doesn't allow us to access any service of available inside the that module. So user module should agree on it, so means it should make something available outside. So to do that, what I need to do here, I need to put it in the exports. Alright, so I'm just gonna put it in the export user service. If I want other module, whoever is importing this module, that they can access the user service or whatever service we are passing it here. So it's it needs to be defined in the exports. Okay, now you see the error is gone. Now the error is gone. If I try to go back in here, I'll create one folder. Let me create one folder. This will be auth, and now inside the auth I'm gonna create one request, and this will be register, and here for login, not login, register. So I'm going to define endpoint. So what was our endpoint? This way, right? So here it will be register, and this should be a post request. Did we define post here, or we did define it with get? Okay, so we did a mistake here. I know you might have noticed. So okay, now we have this as post, so we can get this body. Okay, now what we are going to do, we are going to pass some data from here. Let's say we don't pass anything and see what happens. Does it throw some error? Not found. So can you guess what could be the error? Like API v1 register. So when it is saying not found, means it didn't find this endpoint at all. So now we need to verify what is the actual endpoint. So it should be auth/register. Did we define auth/register? Nope. So we need to put it auth/register. I will save this. And now, alright, so we are not getting any error, although we are not getting any response. But if you notice, we can see the console log which we put it here in the create user, and it couldn't find the user, right? And that's why it is showing null. Okay, so when it doesn't find some user with the given email ID, it just returns a null object. But what was the point? I mean, defining all the things here in the validators in the class user DTO. So there are things we need to configure. So we'll see like how we can add validation pipe in next video.